on your overall life, that's when they say that it becomes a crisis. If it's in control, then that's just natural progression. That's just as Maslow says, the Maslow hierarchy of needs. As human beings, you want more, you want to accomplish more. But if it's having a negative effect, your decision that you're making. So, for example, in the play, husband and wife been married for 25 years, and because the husband believed that he hasn't fully established himself as a man, he hasn't founded his legacy, he start putting all his efforts now into work. As a result, the wife is now feeling neglected because he's not doing his duty as home, because he's out there trying to be the man and trying to, accomplish all his goals, because he thinks that life is slipping apart. But as a result of that, he's neglecting his wife at home. She's feeling neglected, unappreciated. She's going through her own crisis. She's getting older as well. Hubby isn't paying her the attention that she should be. Maybe there is a young stallion at work, paying her the compliment and giving her the time and attention that hubby isn't giving to her. And so now she's now going through her own thing of, I'm here, I'm still beautiful, I want to be loved. My husband isn't loving me as I ought to, and is tempted to maybe, make a decision with a young stallion that she ought not to be doing if she had fully had that part of her life satisfied.
Right, got you. Wow, well said. Very much well said. So, tell us what we can expect, and ladies, tell us how this play impacted your life. Like, I learned a lot from my shows, and seeing you all was so really could identify, even if it wasn't with you personally, someone who would have gone through something similar. So,
I can talk first.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Seeing that I was Donna, which is one of the main characters in the play itself, we have spoken to persons who saw the plays and were like, oh my goodness, that's actually us right now, they're in relationships and they can identify with the characters. Some of them even had the same exact years of marriage and all these kind of things exact as the play had it. And so it was really amazing to hear the testimonies coming from different persons that saw the play, some of them having had the same experiences or going through the same experiences as what is presented in the play. The play is such a real life story, that anybody who's watching it, young or old, could connect with someone in the play and identify with what they're going through. Like I was saying, my character Donna, she is married, and after some years, sometimes you get so comfortable within the marriage. Sometimes the husband is just caught up with work and all these things and not really listening to what the wife is asking him to do at home, and in the relationship and that kind of thing. And sometimes as a woman, you tend to feel a little neglected, and it always have some wolves out there. I call them wolves, that's ready to pounce at any time they get the given opportunity, the chance where they see the man might be slacking off in a certain area. They're always ready and raring to go. So sometimes in a relationship, be it man or woman, you may tend to stray because what you're trying to get, you're not getting, and somebody else is offering it. And even in Christian circles, this is life and things like this do happen, right? So it's up to the individual, though, mentally and spiritually, to stay grounded and stay focused and not get distracted out there. But sometimes the human side of us takes over and that kind of thing. So the play really brings life to the situations that some of us going through, and solutions as well, right? So I think it's something that everybody and anybody should see. Yeah, young people, mature persons who are single, persons who are in relationships, like I said, you could identify with somebody in a play. They may be going through the same experience you are going through, or have gone through before.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
a preparedness. I like what you said. And for the wolves out there, I know the Jezebel spirits definitely come after the married men. Yeah, they come full
Yeah,
blown.
yeah.
And I am sorry, midlife wife is not I kicking them out, I don't know, they might beat them
Hello.
up, but the Jezebel spirits, no, leave the married men alone. All right, and
Yeah, yeah,
and
for
that
sure.
is when they come as well, and so is it that we have to intensify with the prayer for our spouses or significant others at that point in time, because it's a different season as well, and we must be wise, and the Bible employs us to be wise, yeah, in everything
Yeah.
that we do. So
Okay, but can I just interject, because I'm hearing that Jezebel spirit,
yeah,
Jezebel spirit
I want to
comment.
be feisty a
Um,
little bit.
what is the Jezebel spirit, and is it really Jezebel spirit? As it in terms of the church is concerned, or is it just a case that because, and obviously I'm passionate about this, I'm passionate about the single issue
Go ahead.
and the pressures that the women are under. Are we creating an atmosphere of Jezebel spirit by not supplying or having enough men in the church? Because I would say half the issue of that so-called Jezebel spirit that you're talking about is the fact that because there is a lack of men, the few men that are there become prey. You understand?
Well,
If there was more
Allan call it prey.
men in
if there was more prey,
not
yeah.
Prey,
P-R-E-Y, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. I get
Yeah.
that.
if there were more men in the church, would the Jezebel spirit be less?
I don't think
Because
so.
everybody would have no?
No, okay. Well, here's what I believe, right? Because my church has predominantly more men than women. And so therefore,
What?
I'm telling you, you need to visit my church. I don't know if we have church this Sunday, but trust me, you will come to my church and then realize we have more men than women. And that is because our pastor, I guess, he targeted more men because he believed in building strong men, building and impacting and empowering and mentoring men. So globally, we have a very strong presence of men. I know that's not the norm in many places, and we're unique. And when you come and you see, you would identify what I'm saying. And that's just how it is, and I give God glory. Sorry I didn't go there earlier. But moving along.
I'll be there this Sunday, please don't.
No, but serious, that's our reality. I thank God. And what I'm saying as well, Allan, with regards to that part of it, what I realize is something Lashley said with regards to support. I believe there's such a support with regards to couples and the close knit of family in the community. If a Jezebel spirit thinking about it, by the time they reach by the door and they see how tight that is, them can penetrate there, and they realize it. And I think that is the key, that kind of support, because many times, and you would hear couples cry out, right? They may be having an issue and stuff, and they want to get counseling, and instead of it having support, sometimes it's the people watching, and some people, sadly to say, glad you're going through what you're going through in the same community, instead of supporting you, supporting the man, supporting the wife, and that kind of thing. And sometimes they're left alone because they just call, so we know they are left alone. They don't know who to go to, and then they probably will go to some other minister for counseling and that kind of thing. So I think that kind of support and tightness, I think is what is lacking, Allan, that will cause the Jezebel spirit to come in. Once it's tight and you're sure you have that support, it might even, when you have support, or let's say if you have a group of people who in your corner, and if something happens, they will be there for you. It's harder for you to fall away from that. People don't fall away like you. People say from good thing. You know what I mean? Once you get in that support, you happy to stay there and to be a part. You look forward to it. I mean, we fellowship before service starts. Service starts at 9. You get by our church by 7:30 in order to get seats. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, wow.
You don't see that. And it's because we fellowshipping before and then Doc will come down in the congregation, and I'm telling you it's phenomenal. That is my reality.
You're blowing up the chat there.
I'm blowing up the chat.
People want to know where this church is.
I believe everybody wants to know what church is that.
You understand? You understand?
Madonna just talking and just piggybacking on what you just said, the support, based on the play, you asked about the experience. Donna have this friend, and this friend is the one that you will keep tight, and this friend will keep you in check, because this friend went through all them situations. It's like, yeah, what is you doing? You understand? So I just to add to the play, it's based on friendship, that support. And having someone that you could sit down. I remember my first experience going to America. The first thing I say, I want a bucket of ice cream. Like I want to see when they have this big bucket of ice cream and they're eating from this big bucket of ice cream, and you're telling your friends all what you went through with this boy and all these things. So it, to me, when I'm on stage and when we're Donna and myself, the character Erica, and we're there, and all we're doing is just eating and talking and supporting each other. It's like a friendly bond that we have as well. As part of the cast.
That is excellent as well. That person who will keep you in check. I remember I have a did they say half sister or whatever abroad, and I remember we talking and having a conversation, and because I know how much her husband has been there for her, I said, I don't want to hear, I don't even want you to think about it. You come and tell me somebody else was talking to you. I don't want to hear that, because you just know when some persons really there, give that support, and you see in it and that kind of thing, and you encourage them, because at the end of the day, we all know, because we're adults here, husband and wife, woman would always watch your husband if he handsome. Men will always watch your wife. You understand? That's just how it is. But are you going to be lured by that? Are you going to be pulled out by that just because? No. Especially as Christians, you must be guided by the Holy Spirit and have Him guiding you in every decision that you're making, and you as well know your strengths and your weaknesses. Come on, don't play with me. You just know. So don't bother to play. Oh, I didn't know, I didn't see it. It's very well see when you're flirting and you like the lady who come and tell you, Pastor, you're looking nice. So brother, you real pray good, and I want you pray for me. And he want to come on, work with me.
That's the holy Jezebel spirit.
Thank you. You understand? Keeping it real. You just know. I need to stop it. Okay, let me stop. Let me calm down.
So is there a male version of the Jezebel spirit?
Yes. Who wants to, he like the pastor wife, right? He come in right there and sit down next to her. Or pastoress, I'm gonna move your books for you to sit down now.
And I want to give you a drop.
You understand? And he always wants to be there. He's the best armor bearer you could think about. The devil is a liar. We need to stop it.
That's Robert in our play.
We need to stop it.
Yes. I don't know, but Donna, you're touching on a lot of the characters and in this play, because I'm encouraging folks, we don't want to give it out, but while we're discussing here, it's basically real life issues that happen in relationships. Whether it be in church, whether it be you're out of you're not a Christian, but these things happen, and that is how sometimes you get that connection with this person, because this person is there for you. He's there at every call. The armor bearer, my shoulder to cry when I want to let down all my snot and my tears, and this person is there, and then things happen, and you don't know where from where, and that's how it start. And sometimes we get so caught up in the emotions of the situation and the crisis, then now you recognize that bam, you're in a relationship, and a relationship that God did not ordain. That's the true reality of things.
I think too, you're all talking about support, and I'm hearing in my head husbands and wives being supportive to each other and listening to each other, could cause us to not fall into these midlife crisis situations as well, and tending to look outside and that kind of thing. If we are supplying what is necessary within the relationship and within the marriage, we wouldn't have cause to look outside by any Jezebel spirit, be it male or female or anything like that. And so, communication is so, so, so very important.
Yeah.
In
and I
our
like what you're
marriages.
saying. I like what you're saying, Sanja, because it's okay to talk about sex on the others, right? Because we're all over 40
Okay.
and one person's
Right.
married, right? Because that's critical in the relationship. And sometimes persons, gosh, you don't want to talk about that. They'll call it something else. They'll copulate sex, okay? And the Bible talk about it. So therefore, it's important as well to know your body and your body changes. Even if
Yep,
you have to
yep.
go to a gynecologist or, whomever your doctor is, for them to explain to you those changes as well, right? So that you could be on top of your game. This is for us to be on
For
top of
sure.
our game as women, and for the women that are married, for you to be on top of your game as well. You know what I mean? Don't just take it for granted and you don't know what's going on. And no, you need to know what's going on is your body. And that's what we were talking about earlier. When we talk about we're so busy and stuff like that, no, take it down. You need to take time for you. And I'm talking to myself because yes, I am talking to myself as well when I say it, because we
I
do
hear that for
so.
myself too, Donna. Madonna.
Let me just jump in again there, because I know we're talking about midlife crisis and we're talking about over 40s, but the play isn't just for over 40s. We do have young people in the play as well. Obviously,
Definitely.
midlife, while midlife crisis may be affecting a particular couple, if kids are involved, how
Sure.
does that affect the kids?
Yeah.
And could as well in the play, you kind of show you that the decisions you make in your youth can affect you in later life and
Yeah.
cause that midlife crisis. So I know Kernan is in the play. She's young. I don't know if she has an aspect that she wants to relate, but crisis. Yeah, we're zooming in on that age, 40 to 65. But the truth be told, that if you have kids and you're going through a midlife crisis, that means that the kids are experiencing what the parents are going
trauma,
through,
yeah.
and how does it affect them, and how does that affect them in later life, seeing how mom and dad coped in their marriage, and if there's negative vibes that you give off, these are stuff that your kids may inherit, and like going back to the terms of like your youth. Sometimes we make decisions in our youthful life, and now we're seeing the effect years later of a bad decision that we made 20 years before, whether it's marrying the wrong person or getting involved in sexual relationships that created a child outside of wedlock, and now how that person is dealing with their life as they get older, sometimes with the trauma of how they came into the world. Sometimes that has a permanent effect on our psyche growing up. So the play, don't understand that it's just for over 40s. It's for the whole family, and the whole family is actually represented
I'm
in
glad.
the play.
I'm
old
glad you said
and young.
that. Because I remember hearing them on Youth in Focus, man, and they were really amazing. And I know that a lot of youths as well will be looking forward to it, because Curlin, and then I want them to go see the surprise youth people that are there, and the message is really impacting, and many persons can identify with what Allan was just saying there, because so many times we think about that, and you would have children as well, and their lives are impacted one way or the other.
Indeed.
Thank God for his grace in a lot of instances where it's like a bounce back kind of thing as well. But yes, we also consider that, and the decisions and choices that we make when we are young, it's critical. And I really tell a lot of young people, because now it's so much more information coming at you, really seek God in making it's critical. It's critical.
Yep.
I think in my time they didn't tell us how critical critical it was. And we
No,
didn't
they
Yes, they
think.
didn't.
did, but we
Yeah,
didn't listen.
yeah. No, I don't
They
think they
did,
tell us.
but
They
we
didn't
didn't
tell us.
listen.
They didn't tell us. They didn't tell us.
No, no,
Tell
no,
us, they
no,
didn't tell us.
no,
They were
no,
frightened. They
Karen,
were
no,
afraid to tell
Karen.
us.
They did not.
They-
They did not tell
No, no,
us.
no, they didn't tell us
Yeah,
at
they were
all.
afraid. They were afraid.
What
And
era
they
was that?
also
That was children in the
tell
70s,
again.
80s, and 90s.
All right, okay,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. The parents back in those days also pretended that they didn't go through stuff or done stuff.
They hid very well. Yeah, they hid very
Yeah,
well.
they did.
Yeah, you understand?
Yeah, but they warned us. They said,
They
if you
didn't.
go outside there, the boo boo man will catch you. Did I tell you that?
The-
But
what's
So
what's
who
the
was
boomer
the
man?
boomer man? Who was the boomer man?
What is the boomer man?
Well, I
What
said
is the
they
boomer
not
man?
They,
explain
They
it
didn't
to
tell
us
us.
they
what
said the
boo
best
boo man
they-
is.
they said
So
the
this
best
is
way
what
they
I'm saying.
could.
They're telling us. They told us. They warned us. But then, it's
Nah,
just
they didn't tell us. They
They
didn't
have to
tell
find
us.
modern
They didn't
ways
tell
of
us.
how to do it.
But sex
but
didn't
what
change
is-
from
what
that
is-
time to now. Sex is still sex. A
But
three-letter word.
No, but there's much more
What I find
exposure.
interesting though, Karen, though, yeah. What I find interesting though is that even like your generation, Karen, you talking about you're right. Even though you say that our parents didn't tell us, we are still even uncomfortable talking about sex openly and honestly
Yeah, even
with the young people them.
adults. Even as
Right?
adults.
And yeah, and I know that from a fact from even in the play that we're doing, right? Certain words, certain body parts, we don't even want to say it. We want to give it some stupid
Funny
name, like
butterfly.
you know what I'm saying? But we are afraid to say penis and vagina. And I tell you, I was at a church 2 weeks ago, and a gentleman, elderly man in his 60s, he was doing the youth program in the evening. This was in the morning, and he says, "I want the young people to come back this evening because I've got a program for you, yeah, because I hear you guys singing. I command my hands to praise the Lord. I command my feet to praise the Lord, but you never command your vagina and your penis to praise the Lord." He said that in the adult service in the morning, right? And people were like, "Oh my gosh. He said penis and vagina." And obviously, and this was a Seventh-day Adventist church, right? You know how Seventh-day Adventists are very strict, right? So it's like, oh my gosh, he said that on the Sabbath, you know what I mean, in a divine hour, because we are not comfortable speaking about these things, and we want to give it all kind of, strange name that make no sense to the young people. Them, I mean, these are terms, these are medical terms, these are body parts, and there's nothing wrong with it. But because I don't know, because of our culture, everything is taboo, and everything is in secret. And what we fail to realize is that you're covering it up, and they're going to school Monday to Friday, and the school system is telling them that and even worse. Whereas we in the church, that's meant to be a safe haven. Oh, we don't talk about that because we're Christians, and it don't happen. I mean, with our penis and vagina in the church. I don't know what we have, but I mean, sometimes we pretend that we don't.
And you can also call 622-1981. I think I missed 2 calls. 622-1981 because I'm seeing a little WhatsApp messages coming in. And I just want to hear 1 or 2 voice notes. Let me see if... That's crazy, man. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. And that is what persons are faced with. Wow, wow.
Um, can I just put in a point as I'm looking at the chat and we're talking about midlife crisis. I just remembering counselor, marriage counselor. He was making mention about the need for a man to feel respected by his wife and for the wife to feel loved by the husband. And I'm seeing where it is that talked about persons saying it is that they were feeling as though they haven't accomplished certain things and the husband got angry. Now, for a man, it's very, very difficult to handle his wife saying it is that, as though he hasn't accomplished much or he hasn't done much. He feels very, very disrespected. I don't know if it is that the woman would understand how disrespected a man feels when it is that he hears that from his wife, right? And that could put the person in a position where it is that he goes out and does things that he would not have normally done simply to try and please the wife. And the same thing as towards the wife. The wife needs to be hearing from the husband on a regular basis the love that he has for her, right? Which really keeps the woman feeling young, feeling appreciated, feeling as though it is that there can be no other person in his life. So I just wanted to put in that because I think that could really and truly help, given that many research was done and they saw it is that when a man feels disrespected, it is that he really goes into a tailspin. And when a woman feels unloved, she goes into a tailspin. So I just felt it necessary to put in that, given what I've seen on the chat here.
Wow. Somebody also mentioned, they said, good night, Madonna. My mother told me years ago, when a man gets in free milk, he will not buy the cow. So she made a decision that she will not live with any man until she get married. Excellent. When they get in free milk, they're not buying the cow. And that is so
That is
true.
what I'm saying. They told us that they tell us it, but they told us in these phrases. And look at that. What I mean, you understand what I say? All right, okay, go ahead.
Wow. I think if you could come a little closer to the mic as well, Karen, when you're talking, you were louder before and then you came down a bit. Yes, so it's so much information coming out of all of this. So it's not just midlife crisis, it's young people making accurate decisions and being schooled. And I hearing, Karen saying yes, they told us. But Karen, they may have told you, but they didn't tell the other 99% of us. Because they didn't want, I remember, I can tell you, it's my grandmother that spoke to me about my period, not my mother. Nothing, nothing, nothing. She didn't tell me nothing. You understand? Nothing. And it was my grandmother.
Yeah, but
And one of the things too is that
You're sounding distant though.
one of the things I don't know how I'm distance now, but
Mm-hmm.
one of the things we also have to take in consideration that if you know of something, you will be able to teach someone. If your parent before you didn't tell you the right thing, it's of course the cycle will continue until now we're living in an age where a touch of a button you're getting information. So now, what should I say? Even the parents now of those days who are in touch with devices and being able, even the children and all, surfing the net and getting this information for themselves. Now we have to find ways how to guide them and to let them know that, hey, although you listen to this is what needs to be done. So now we have to try to correct the information that they have all stored up in their heads. So it's a twofold thing that we have to do now. It's like we have to keep teaching and catching up and all these things.
I think what is critical as well as parents and as the community that would raise a child, we need to give them the information first, as Lashley was talking about. We need as
Yes.
parents to take the initiative to and even if we may have had the simple conversation at 8, 9, 10, when they become a teenager, we need to intensify the conversation. You understand? Bring it home on another level. Because I could understand you saying, okay, yes, you will tell them, but they still wouldn't understand clearly 8, 9, 7, or they may, because we hear of children have, but they don't know what they're doing. Even if you hear of the children having sex in primary schools and that kind of thing, they're still naive to what they're doing, they're doing what they see at that point.
That's
But as
correct.
they become
That's correct.
older and more educated, it's better for them to have an understanding of what is going on and everything else, right? So I think it's at stages as well. We need to be consistent in what we say. And then it comes all right back to the word. We need to be consistent in everything we do.
No, but I mean, you say I have two girl children, and it was very difficult for me having discussion when it came to sex, right? And that's why again I'm saying it is so important for us to have support groups, because if
Yes.
I didn't have that ability to really go inside myself and understand what are my fears, what are my concerns, why am I feeling so anxious in speaking with them, it is I wouldn't have been able to do that. But not everybody has that ability. So that is why it's so important. I always keep on saying it. It is very important that they have support groups, because then you have parents who want to say certain things, know it is that they should say it, but they can't say it, and they don't know how to bring themselves to the point of saying it, simply because it is that they don't have that support system to override that system that is going on in their own self, to really come out and do what they have to do.
Yeah, and I agree with that. That support is critical at all stages of life. I remember Miles in talking about changing of seasons. Oh my God, some amazing ministry in that. I look it over time and time again, because he went into at each stage of their life is a change that we have to accept. So we have to adapt as well as parents, right? And then it's good when someone who has walked that road help you, because they can tell you, I've been there, this is what to expect, so you don't be surprised, right? So even if us having these conversations and we seeing persons coming out and saying, things like, they thought it was they alone thought that way, and when this happened, you realize that you're not in this together alone. So you realize we're all in it together, and if we share the information, you realize that it could help you, and it could even give you confidence in what you need to do. Yeah? So all this coming out of midlife crisis. So you all must go see midlife crisis wherever you are, and whatever you're doing. Those 2 days, that Saturday and that Sunday, you need to head on down to Central Bank. So Alan, share with us exactly when it is as we come back to the discussion.
Okay, so Saturday, the 4th of March, we're going to be in Shore Park, Tobago.
Tobago,
So all the Tobago
Tobago.
massive want you to come out and support. It's going to be a wonderful evening of drama, theatre, the best in gospel theatre on the island of Trinidad and Tobago. You can get your tickets from Shore Park Complex. The tickets are only 175. You can also get your tickets from Office and things. So really come and support us, because we are taking a gamble, and we've been taking the show from Trinidad, bringing it across the shores to Tobago. So we really want your support, um, people of Tobago. And then on the 11th and 12th, we are going to be at the Central Bank Auditorium, 7 p.m. on Saturday, 6 p.m. on Sunday. And you can get your tickets from A&A Pharmacy, Living Legacy, and even right there at Isaac's 98.1. Tickets are only 175. You can also get your tickets online. If you go online, you're going to get your tickets for actually 160 TT. www.theticketsellers.co.uk. And we've got some of Trinidad's finest actresses and actors on the bill. We got, obviously, you've heard from Karen Richards, Carolyn Bradshaw, Sandra Thomas. We got David Clark. We got Joshua Modest. We got Michelle Sylvester, Karen Noel, and Dion Green, and a whole heap of other talented individuals. So come out and support us. High quality, entertaining drama production coming to a theatre near you. Saturday the 4th in Tobago, 11th and 12th at Central Bank Auditorium. Central
Wow.
Bank venue.
Wow, wow, wow. So, yeah, we're back with you, and it's midlife crisis, and it's the talk of the town. So, you want to go on down and really capture it. I'm going to be back to get some other insight, and those who are hearing it for the first time, it's a play you wouldn't want to miss. And
Definitely. Don't miss
yeah,
it at
you
all.
don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss it. It's real life coming to you home. You might like the pastor they say, don't look to your left or your right while you're sitting next to your husband or your wife, because I'm telling you, it hits in home, it hits in home, it hits in home,
And
right?
we had a lot
Real
of people
bacchanal.
doing that, eh?
Yeah, watch it straight ahead. If some of you might close your eye at
Mm.
one point in time, can nobody say watch them, and then the people behind see and all them kind of things. So you might close your eye at one point in time, right? So yeah, but it's really, really, really exciting. You want to be there, and it's good that we could talk about things and help others, that are dealing with situations, because it's in your house. Sometimes you don't realize, and I think we need to really be on top of our game with our young people. And sometimes parents don't forget all they was young too. I think sometimes all they just forget,
Mhm.
Lashley. They just forget. You understand? We should be so dynamic. Now we understand how our parents used to know what we were doing when we was lying and all them kind of thing, because they've been there, done that, right? So we should be on
Yep,
top
yep,
of
yep.
our game. And when we ask God for foresight, He give us the foresight. Here, yeah, man, we should be walking. I mean, on another level. When you think about it, we should. All the pray and fast you all fasted in January. Maybe you need to go back again, pray and fast for another 21 days and ask God for foresight, those who have children, so that they'll be ahead of it with the young people, and especially in this generation. It's critical, right?
But
Yeah.
not,
And
but not only that, but we could also find coping skills of how to
yes.
deal when we're going through
Yeah.
Yeah.
life crisis. And that could be one of our prayers ask God to be our guide at the side and in
Mm-hmm.
every aspect of our lives. Because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes where people go through midlife crisis, some people they commit their lives.
Hmm.
And sometimes, you just wonder where God is like, I wish that person had known God at that point in time. So, sometimes, as Alan said, these things fall in the bracket of Christians as well.
Hmm.
So we are not exempted from it.
Hmm.
All of us go through a
Yeah.
crisis.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also want to add to all the young persons that out there listening, they may be saying, I'm young still, a midlife crisis is not going to come knocking at my door at any time. Um, I used to think like that too because before joining the process, I heard the term before midlife crisis, but I didn't pay much thought to it because I thought it didn't really concern me. In fact, it does concern us young people, and I think that is very crucial that we get as much information as possible because it will help us in the future and in the long run. And I like encourage young people to see this as a head start because what our
Yeah.
parents endured or the information they didn't have before, we have this information now. So it's a head start for us in terms of our future relationships or marriages, whatever it may be. So now that we have this information, we could now build healthy habits and even as Auntie Karen said, coping methods so that if we do
Yeah.
encounter midlife crisis, we could identify it at an early point and address the matter so it wouldn't be prolonged. Also, now that we have this information, we could kind of like possibly avoid having to go through a midlife crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And
Shit.
also banking on what Mr. Allan said in terms of like our parents not really sharing much information with us. I could kind of testify to that a bit. And so like a lot of us children, we see our parents as role models and an example. So what we see them doing, we kind of like mirror it sometimes. And because that's all we know, so sometimes let's say our parents may be going through a midlife crisis, and the way they treat the situation, we will take that and carry it into our future relationship because that's all we know. How we Because experiences is but having experience, how you deal with situations is based on your experiences, so what you know and what you see. So having this information would help us kind of break that chain off from not like carrying those unhealthy habits into our future relationships. So yeah.
Well said, Killen. Very well
Wow.
said. Very, very
Well
well
Amen.
said,
said.
Dylan. Well
Move to the front of
The
the
said.
youth have
class. Move to the
spoken.
front of the
And
class.
let the church say,
Amen.
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 Sister
Amen,
Madonna,
amen.
under all seriousness, somebody messaged me privately and they want to know what church you attend. I want to say hi to the people of the RTR, ready to receive singles group. They are listening and tuning right now.
All right. The church. The
I
church.
want to know. I want to
Privately,
know.
privately.
I
I
Because I
want to
will.
know
don't
I'll
want
what
message you
church
everybody to go.
privately.
Madonna goes to, because I've got a lot of single female who've been looking for husband for years, right? And feel that. So you need to tell us, man, so that
Well,
on
Alan,
Sunday,
oh
on
God, don't let
Sunday, you're gonna
everybody
get an
come now.
influx.
Everybody don't come. Private message me and I will tell the rest after.
oh my goodness. Trust me, I would love it. Trust me.
Children, that's biggest secret, boy.
Yeah, I think it is. You need to get approval from the pastor.
I would I don't talk to him when he come
Yeah.
back. He out the country right now. I don't know if he's in New Zealand or something like that, but he does so much ministry as well outside of the church, and it helps us understand. Even on another note, and I know this is not in midlife crisis, but we were even talking about the earthquake recently, and we just got information that there's a storm in New Zealand as well, and they say it's like the strongest in centuries. And we see the end of time because we see so many things that are happening now that we could tie into, the Bible as well and stuff like that. So all those types of things, we're schooled in and we're up to date on, that brings us into the reality of wow, we could relate to it in such a real way. And in addition to that, as we're talking and yeah, that's with those that are over 35 as well and that kind of thing, and because it's a community thing, we have exercise classes at different times because we have different churches all over, and everybody's involved in it at some point in time because it's all about us keeping our health intact, so nobody's left behind. So that's the kind of network and togetherness it have when it comes to us doing things, but that is not about that tonight. I just give you all a little snippet because this came up, but it's really,
Oh
you
Lord, more
really
things to come,
feel
more
feel
things.
sheltered and safe. I really thank God for that. So it was really amazing having you all. I'm sure you all didn't expect it to go in such depth, about what we're going to talk about, but it
It
really
was great.
mattered
Yes.
and meant a
I had
lot
a
to a
great
lot
time.
of persons, the WhatsAppers, and maybe I can have you all again, Karen and Sandra, darling, and
Yeah.
and Curlin,
Oh,
It will be nice.
everyone. Yes, definitely, on topics we would discuss that are so relevant for today, and that we can help other women and help other, even I can have you all on Women of Promise, you know what I mean, and that can help persons
Okay.
generally in moving forward because we are a brother's keeper, and there's nothing new under the sun, as you people will say, so
Definitely.
with
Definitely.
that in mind, we can help each other and help our church community grow, because topics that wouldn't happen every Sunday, and some people are just Sunday church goers, some people, you know what I mean,
Mm-hmm.
these are the things
Mm-hmm.
that you will talk about that wouldn't happen on a Sunday morning service, right? So thanks again, ladies. Thanks, Alan. Keep up the excellent
Thank
work,
you for having
and
us.
look
Thank you.
forward
Thank you for having
yeah.
us
to
once.
some
Thank you for
more
having
Had a
us.
great
midlife
time.
crisis. Yes, I'm so happy you did. So you'll be back. Once you say that's you'll be back.
We'll be back. We'll be back.
And thanks
Definitely.
to the guy in the studio with you, the
Oh
guy.
yes,
We so want to say thank you as well.
Ashley.
Mr.
Thank you. Thank
Lashley.
you.
Yes, Mr.
Lashley.
Lashley.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
It
kind
was
of get
nice
a little
meeting you.
Thank you
snippets
again.
with him on the live. I kind of did a live, so they'll see him vaguely on the live.
Okay.
All right, bye.
Okay, bye
Bye,
bye.
guys.
Bye.
Take care.